So the hyper-local part.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Which makes a lot of sense because it's all about building community.
Right. How do you think that this viral marketing has been assisted by or has helped to develop? Do you think it has developed a sense of community?
Okay, yeah, we can talk about that. So my idea originally for People on Project 2 was to build community. And how do you get people to talk to each other and hang out with each other and have some, and a feeling that they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Right.
So it's definitely building community through art.
Okay.
And it just happens that these tools came along right at the same time. That they keep
really?
popular. Meaning, like suddenly Facebook was like this huge thing, or Twittering suddenly was like. So these are all tools that you use to build this sense of community. And those things weren't available before. And so in a weird way, I feel like I just kind of had the best timing ever. Like I just happened to start what I was doing right at the time, and I had the same goals. I had certain goals that these new tools fit in perfectly with.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like People on Project really first started taking off because I just started blogging like crazy, which people think about. See, I think that's a big fallacy about blogging, is that people think about it. They're like, oh, I could never put all my I wouldn't expose myself. It's like, no, I mean, you can. That's one way.
If you want to,
yeah. If you want to, but I wouldn't do that either.
Right.
No, I mean, it's a tool that you can use to brand yourself and to create this sense of expertise in some area.
Right.
You could use it in many ways. And so, anyway, at a very basic level, I just started blogging like crazy about art and everything I thought was cool about art. And people started following that. And that was like the first building block of the community. And that's how I started getting people to come to my events. Like, they would follow my blog, you know.
Was it mostly people you knew or just people who just happened on the blog?
Okay. Yeah, but then, you know, I mean, and then, well, what I was going to say is like, and then I started doing the Facebook thing. And again, like, oh, I can never do Facebook. I don't want people knowing that I'm doing it. I'm like, well, then you just don't put that on there. Okay. So, I mean, if you look at my Facebook page, like, I just post stuff about art all the time. I would never tell you, like, you know, who I'm dating.
Right.
So never. Like, I don't even have that. It's ridiculous. But some people do, and that's fine. I just wouldn't use it that way. Anyway, and so what I was going to say is, like, so now, you know, I'm really relentless about building up my Facebook friends. And so now I'm up to 1,976. And it's funny, because so I walk around town and people constantly are like, hey, you know.
Without knowing who you are?
Right. They don't know who I am, but they're my Facebook friends, you know.
Oh, okay, I see.
And so that's been so I'm giving that as an example of two things. One is, so most people now follow me not knowing who I am. You know, they're not just my friends.
Yeah.
But two, it actually does build the sense of community, to answer your question, because people do think they know me, and they come to these events because they know that they're going to see a certain percentage of the same people that they saw at the last thing. And it's, you know, and
they want to be a part,
level.
Yeah,
you want to be part of that. There's a comfort level in knowing that you're going to see certain people. So yeah, there is a sense of community. Maybe it's a superficial one, but I feel like that's okay. And then that's partially why that's the main reason why I do a lot of smaller events. I do all kinds of events. I do these big events, which are fun, and everybody goes, and blah. And, you know, I'm on Facebook. You know, so that's the kind of the superficial first step. But I do a ton of, like, smaller little salons, because you do need to bring it down to a much more intimate, personal level.
Yeah.
And like the little panel discussion I did last night at Flashpoint, there were about 30 people, and it was just great. Like, there was a little conversation, a dialogue, and felt more sort of intellectually stimulating. And then last week I did a little salon here where I had an artist and a curator do a little talk, but we had somebody drink wine and eat food, and it was really great.
Yeah. Now, the term salon, is that something you're taking from, like, the early 18th century, or is that something you kind of term now, or have people been using it for a while?
Of course I borrowed it from, you know, the 1800s.
Right.
And like sort of the Gertrude Stein.
Okay.
Definitely, no question. But I actually call my salon contra, and the idea, just giving that name, is to say two things. One is, you know, it does reference, it gives you the idea that it's a guerrilla style, you know, doing it differently. And that's the whole idea behind Pink and Pink on Project too, is like how do you turn things on their end and do things differently, and not for the sake of just doing it differently, but because it makes your life more interesting and it's more stimulating. It's always going to be more stimulating, and particularly creativity to step outside your comfort zone. And it's such a cliched thing, like, oh, get outside, you know, think outside the box,
right,
or get out of your rut, you know. But those cliches exist for a reason, like, it works. Like, once you get outside your comfort zone, you do think more creatively.
Yeah.
So you are able to think of solutions to problems. Like, when you're just doing things the same way all the time, you don't have a reason to do anything differently. To think about anything differently, about solutions and whatever.
So do you think, like, this blogging and viral community aspect, do you think it fosters a new type of art or creativity? Or just the community that attended?
Well, the one way in which I think it could foster new kinds of creativity is connected to the community aspect, and that is, in fact, I just got an email, I had an email from somewhere yesterday, your mom always emailed us, about how this is the year of the mashup.
The mashup.
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 And in fact, it's something Brian and I talked a lot about. We used the mashup idea a lot this summer when we were on the Phillipa project. And so I think all these new community building tools encourage mashup in art. Mashup meaning you take different art forms and bring them together.
And bring them,
create
okay,
something new.
okay.
Like taking
Interesting.
poetry reading and dance,
Uh-huh.
and we create a new kind of art in those things. And so I think these community building tools, these social media tools, make that more possible, because
Yeah.
you can actually make those connections
Right.
with people that you would never normally have made that connection with.
Right.
And actually, again, it connects to my salon contra too. Like, I've always put it out there as you're going to come and meet people that you would not never normally have met, but for the fact that you came to salon contra. The salon contra is it's just, again, another tool in this whole picture of community building. And it's equally important as Facebook and Twittering and blogging and all that stuff.
The actual,
But
tangible
yeah, so now
event.
you actually get to see them.
Yeah.
But it's just one among the many tools that you use. And I hate calling it tool because it sounds like it's so personal. I'm like certainly very calculating about it. But that's what it is. I mean, fortunately for me, it comes very naturally, you know.
Right.
But so, which is why I have a hard time sort of teaching somebody how to do this. Like, if you don't naturally like having people come over and spend time in your apartment and sit and drink wine together, then using that tool is not going to be as effective. There needs to be a certain level of sincerity about it.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny, talking about this mashup, I hadn't heard the term before, but I think of like the happenings of the 50s and 60s, you know, and it was something where I think they just naturally gravitated toward it because they had they're at the same school or they had the same friends, and so they tried to create these encounters, but now it's
because like in those days,
yeah,
you kind of have to be in the know.
Right.
You know? But now all information is available. And I think that's another thing that makes people on projects that's so popular, whatever.